Hello and welcome. I hate capitalism so much. Let's talk about D23 Expo, I guess. D23 just happened over in California. Once again, I'm over on the East Coast, so I still haven't been able to attend any of the D23 Expos. I would love to attend the Expo. All of the footage I've been seeing has looked phenomenal of the show floor. Very, very crowded, but what they've been able to produce on the show floor has been phenomenal. I know there's a lot of photo ops, but a lot of really fun, immersive experiences, especially the TVA one. Oh my gosh. Biggest Loki fan, so like I would love to go through that. I would get so ecstatic for that. But nope. maybe in the future I'll be able to attend one. But instead, I'm so grateful to be able to watch all of the coverage. This year, Disney did not live stream any of the panels, but thankfully, so many wonderful people have all across the YouTube world, across all the social media platforms. So I was able to still watch as it was happening in live time. And there are two panels that we have to talk about. Friday night, they came out with the Disney Entertainment panel, which showcased a lot of the new upcoming movies, television, and theater productions that were going to happen. And I'll say, let's talk about that first because that's a much more positive note than the next panel. They highlighted a lot of different films coming out. A lot of them we've known about, but then a lot of the new ones. So let me break those down really quickly. We got some more updates on Snow White, and honestly, I'm not excited about this at all. The wig/haircut looks so bad, and there's no need for this film, especially since it's not really live action. There's been so many Snow White films that feature a full cast of both people and animals of all shapes and sizes. Please, Disney, stop with the straight-up remakes. The trailer of Moana 2 does look really cute. I really loved Moana, so it should be nice to see how the story progresses. A new project called Monster Jam's coming out. I also have no interest in this and therefore no comments. At least it's an original project, so that's a little bit of a plus. They did announce Incredibles 3. Again, I'm honestly happy with the continuation of their story because The Incredibles is such a brilliant series. The second film was phenomenal, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with for the third one. There were more updates on Avatar. I'm also not interested in these films. Honestly, the way they're focusing on the different elements makes it more parallel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and personally, that's a little suspicious. We also got some news on Toy Story 5. We don't need this. I get the concept's a little interesting, but that could have been used as a series of shorts instead of another film. Can we please let this franchise rest in peace? Elio is another original Pixar film coming out. It looks really interesting and unique, which is good. So far, the trailer makes it seem like a mixture between Lilo and Stitch and Treasure Planet with the alien designs. Pixar also talked about Hoppers, which should be interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, especially because the title makes me think of bunnies compared to beavers. But again, it's an original new project, and that's important in the sequel and remake world. We got another update on Zootopia 2. I'm so freaking excited for this one. I love Zootopia. It's one of my top favorite Disney films, so I'm very happy to see more from their world. More updates on Frozen 3. It's clear why this is coming since it's been so successful, and I really did like the second film, but I don't know how they're going to do this as a massive two-part film. I'm not a fan of the idea, especially since you'll have to wait a long time to see the conclusion, and it makes me wonder if they're trying to follow the Wicked formula. There's a Lilo and Stitch live action coming out. Again, we don't need this. Mufasa, I'm not sure how I feel about. The music should be incredible, but I hate these live action film concepts where it's clearly all animated. Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis announced more with Freakier Friday. Again, it's another sequel, but I loved Freaky Friday so much, so this is another welcome addition to enjoy. It'll be nice to see how the characters are 20 years later. Tron is also getting a sequel. Honestly, I'm curious about this one. I couldn't get into the films, but I love the ride, and I love that 9 Inch Nails is attached. Hopefully, this will go into a much darker cyber/steampunk route. In TV shows, Pixar is coming out with a new show, Win or Lose. It should be cute, but again, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not a baseball fan or a sports fan in general, but I'm happy there's some new original content coming out. There's a new Inside Out series coming out called Dream Productions, and I'm genuinely really excited about this one.
I love the Inside Out franchise, and hopefully the idea of this being Riley's different dreams ran like a film studio will also bring out more Rainbow Unicorn. We always need more Rainbow Unicorn. We got a brand new trailer for Agatha All Along, and I am also so freaking excited for this one. I loved WandaVision. I thought that was one of the best Marvel series and the most creative Marvel series that they've done in a while. I love witches. I love horror. I freaking adore Aubrey Plaza. She is my girl crush. And legendary Patti LuPone's part of this. No notes. I cannot wait. There were also more updates on both Marvel and Star Wars properties, but I'm such a casual Star Wars fan, so I won't have many comments on those. And I'm such a Marvel fangirl, I'll look forward to anything they come out with.
It was so nice to get some news for theater productions because that's my side of the world. I'm close to Broadway. I'm so happy that they're talking about it. And although they didn't do too much Broadway news, I was pleasantly surprised and very, very excited of the potential that's coming. One of the first announcements we got was that Frozen is coming as a pro shot for Disney+. I am ecstatic about this because I am always pro shots. I love Broadway so much, but I also understand my privilege in being so close to Broadway, and I also understand how limited it is for people to enjoy it. A lot of these shows are only on Broadway for a limited time, and once they're over, no one can enjoy it anymore. Understandably, that's some of the magic of theater, is that you're there in the moment, you're enjoying what you're seeing, and it's just something within your memory. But there's so many productions that I have loved and wish I could rewatch again. And there's so many productions that I wish I could have seen, but I was too young for or just completely missed. So I'm very, very, very happy that they are promoting pro shots. This is the one thing that I will forever be positive about, especially because it gives more people a chance to discover shows that they might have not known about. I've had that happen to me several times. I never paid attention to when SpongeBob the Musical was on Broadway. I kind of slept on it. Same goes for Shrek. And both of them had pro shots that I ended up watching later on and fell in love. And was completely blown away by how much effort and energy and love put into the productions they had. That's one thing I will say I'm very, 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 very happy about. And if you are curious about more Broadway talk, I do have more videos where I do go into it that is outside of my Disney bubble. So I'll link those below as well. One more positive thing though is Hercules is coming to the West End. And if you've been following this channel, you know how much I love Hercules. That is my film. I love the story of Hercules. I love the music of it, and I have been wanting a Broadway musical adaptation of Hercules for decades. And understandably, it's in the West End. It's London. It's not New York yet. But this is potential to get it closer to coming to Broadway, and I'm really, really hoping that it'll transfer to Broadway because I will be so happy and I will be buying tickets right away to see it. This has been something that I've been dreaming about to see literally for decades. Like I've said, I've loved Hercules all my life, so this would be phenomenal on the Broadway stage. So fingers crossed for that. The other note that they had when it comes to Broadway was The Greatest Showman is going to be in development. It's a very interesting time within the Broadway world as well, because I feel like there's so many shows that are being announced in development, and I feel like there's so much more news about all these potential Broadway shows coming compared to when I was younger. Of course, you know, social media didn't exist yet. I was always a theater kid, so when you found out about a show, it was just coming to Broadway, and that was the way they announced it, like, hey, here's a permanent thing that's happening and this is in motion, compared to now where you hear all these different projects that are all over different areas that are potential transfers or in development. Another project I can think of is The Lost Boys, which again is Warner Brothers, not related to Disney, but that's been in development as well. I'm honestly really excited about that too, but nothing is permanent yet. It's just talk. And so with The Greatest Showman, of course, it's something that is predictable. I know how successful the film was. So when I got this news, I'm like, okay. Like, it's something that I don't really care about seeing, but I also feel like it's just very mainstream. So we'll see how that goes. I just feel like in terms of getting to a Broadway stage, it's very mainstream, so of course they'll have a community that wants to see it, but I just feel like it's overpopulated in terms of theming because Water for Elephants is currently on Broadway, and there's not that much difference between Water for Elephants and The Greatest Showman, for example, when you're just looking side by side without going into the details of the story. Moving on from the Disney Entertainment panel, we then had on Saturday night the Disney Parks panel. Well, it was the Disney Experiences panel, okay? And I had low expectations because, as I've talked about before, I've been very disappointed by their decisions in the parks, and I just waited and waited for the news to happen. This year, they ended up having it so late at night. So because I'm on the East Coast here, it didn't start until 10:30 at night. And half of the first half hour was just musical performances and orchestration. And the orchestra sounded beautiful. And their music was nice because I love the music from the Disney parks. So it was nice, but it also was a reminder of what we were about to lose and what we've had lost in the past. The way they did this presentation was so strange and also took so long because between every announcement that they did, they had a song. It just dragged everything out so much, and everyone sounded really nice, but it was so not needed, and it literally dragged out the show for hours. And again, understandably, on the West Coast, it was a normal time. It's Saturday night, you know, you want to have a great show for people, but East Coast, I know Europe, people were saying they were watching it and it was 5 a.m. and they still haven't gotten done with it yet. I was awake till 1 a.m. waiting for everything to be announced because I didn't want to miss anything. It was a little torturous.
I will say though, bringing Deadpool out was one of the best moments of the night, and we need more Deadpool in the parks permanently. If they can bring him in Walt Disney World, that would be phenomenal.
We got all the announcements, and I'm not gonna focus on everything because a lot of the announcements had to do with a lot of the parks overseas. Disneyland got a couple new things, and the parks obviously that I care about the most and go to the most is Walt Disney World. So I'm gonna pivot to that highlight and that discussion. When they finally got to the announcements, one of the first announcements that they had was for Disneyland that they're getting Avatar. I've not been to Disneyland yet. I have not been to Disney California Adventure. I would love to go next year, especially for the 70th anniversary of the parks, which is crazy that it's 70 years old. Oh my gosh. But that's something to look forward to as a celebration. However, they did not talk about anything in the celebration. They just mentioned, hey, it's the 70th anniversary. What are they gonna do? Like, I would rather know that details, and I would rather know what they're going to do as an event compared to what they actually announced, which was they're getting Avatar in Disneyland's California Adventure. But it's not gonna be the same Avatar that we have in Pandora. It's gonna be a different Avatar. And at this point, whatever. I get it. I don't get the Avatar franchise. I do love Flights of Passage. Flights of Passage is an amazing ride that I really, really enjoy every time I've gone on it, and the food's great. I love myself some Pongo Lupias, and I love the Night Blossom. So in terms of the presence of Animal Kingdom, it has been welcomed. But I will also say, preface, it's been welcomed because it didn't replace anything. It was an addition, because even though it took over the land where Camp Mickey Minnie was and where the Festival of the Lion King was, the Festival of the Lion King did not go away. It stayed, and instead it got moved to a wonderful brand new theater. So it was an upgrade. So it worked well because it made everyone happy in the sense where we didn't lose anything major. And sure, we got some IP in Animal Kingdom for the first time, but it also did fulfill the idea of the imaginary animals in a way. So it wasn't a loss, and it was semi-warmly welcomed. The other thing that they got for Disneyland was a new Coco ride. Even though there wasn't too many details on anything yet, a lot of the announcements were just like, hey, here's this, hey, here's this, okay, here's a song, hey, here's this, okay, another song. it was crazy. The other note I will say when it comes to Disneyland, which I was really, really, truly touched by and really excited for, is that they're making a Walt Disney audio animatronic show that's going to be in rotation with Great Moments with Lincoln. And of course I haven't seen the Lincoln show because I've never been to Disneyland yet, but I was really touched by this. This is exactly what we need. I love the tribute that they're making Walt Disney an animatronic show. I will cry seeing it. I'm sure many people will, because a lot of what I love about Disney is the history of his dream. Like, I was really inspired by Walt Disney and what he was able to create. Of course, a lot of the ideas he did take were from fairy tales, so it wasn't all his original ideas, but I just feel like overall what he was able to build on and the creativity that he was able to excel in and create all these amazing properties. And not only that, but a great foundation for people to build upon his work and his legacy to create this amazing company that was amazing. I have to say was, because again, I'm not sure what the direction they're going into. I just feel like it's a wonderful show, and it's something that in a weird egotistical way, like, he would have loved seeing, but I also feel like it's important because we're preserving the history of the beginning of the park. And I love how they're creating a show that's really reminiscent of the television show that he did to promote all the properties and projects that would have been so cool to have seen when it aired, but I didn't exist then, and I didn't exist for many, many decades afterwards. But I think that's why it's really a nice tribute. I love it so much, the idea of it, and that's what I want more of. I think it'll fit in really nicely, and it's perfect for the anniversary. I'll say too, the way they did all the announcements was very scattered, so that's also why it kept me up until 1 a.m. because they would be like, hey, here's Disneyland, hey, here's Shanghai, hey, here's this about Disney World, hey, cruises, Disneyland. Like, it was all scattered all over the place. I really wasn't a fan of the presentation, especially because I would have rather have known what's going on, but I know they were trying to save the best for last. I put that in quotations because was it really the best for last? We'll get to that soon. For Disney World, they did announce the nighttime parade is coming next year for the Magic Kingdom. It's called Disney Starlight, and it's going to be the replacement for the Main Street Electrical Parade. And honestly, excited for that. Cute. It's not taking away of anything, it's adding to it. And it'll be nice to add to the Magic Kingdom because I loved the Electrical Main Street Parade, and I also love Spectrum Magic. I'm so grateful I got to see Spectrum Magic even though I was too young to remember it, because that is one of the best pieces of music that they've ever orchestrated, and I listen to it all the time now. So it seems promising. That seems nice. And that's one of the only good announcements that they've came out with for Disney World. A lot of what they did announce for Disney World was a lot of the blue sky concepts that they already talked about. And so this is already a discussion that I've had on a previous video. Unfortunately, every single year they continue to keep on being misguided and upsetting many people. Obviously, I am one of them. I'm sure, just like many people, the blue sky concept that they came out with, I did not like. And I was very concerned about them and was hoping that they would change because they were just blue sky and not real. But unfortunately, that did not happen, and the blue sky concepts became real, and I don't like it at all. I'm very, very disappointed, genuinely disappointed in them taking away Dinoland and Dinosaur. I get that Dinoland as a land wasn't that great. I thought it was really cute. I thought it was really kitschy and quirky and really fit the aesthetic of the roadside attractions that America's known for. And I'm more upset about it because this is the end of original concepts for Disney as we know it. And it's been the end of it, but it's just so heartbreaking knowing that the creativity is gone and that everything is bankrupt and everything is now IP. If it's not a concept that's already from a film or a television series with characters that the kids already know, they're not going to do anything. And that's what I'm upset about. I'm also upset because they're changing the entire theming of Animal Kingdom. Indiana Jones does not have anything to do with conservation for animals. Indiana Jones is an archaeologist, but he goes for all these lost treasures. That doesn't deal with animals! The idea of Animal Kingdom and the theme of Animal Kingdom was based upon them focusing on animals from the past, the present, and the imaginary. And we never got the imaginary animals, so I understand them trying to incorporate that, but at least with Beastly Kingdom, they were original concepts like dragons and unicorns. Not attached to a property, but just the idea of dragons and unicorns. It's so disheartening seeing these ideas that could work really well in different parks be misplaced. And I think that's the overall disappointment of it, is that I'm not here hating on this idea of an Indiana Jones ride, but we don't need it. We do not need it. It doesn't work. I love the dinosaur ride. I know it's dated. That makes it fun. I miss Michael Eisner so much, and I miss the era of Michael Eisner so much, because that was the last era where creativity was actually cared about. I know within the 90s, Michael Eisner was really trying to push the envelope and make Disney a little bit more edgy and more for teenagers to enjoy. But all of those concepts that they came out with are now gone. Alien Encounter disappeared. Dinosaur they're getting rid of. It's Tough to Be a Bug they're getting rid of. Like, everything that was borderline scary is gone. I think it was also really great because as a kid too, even though these things were scary, it was always great to be able to push yourself to enjoy these things because you felt brave. If it was scary, like, I was afraid of the end of Dinosaur for the longest time because of how loud it was. It's part of the experience now. You get used to it and then you just look forward to it. It's so much fun. And it was educational! It was such a great way to learn. And I'm so sad that we're losing so much edutainment in the parks. That was one of the reasons I love Disney so much, is because you get to learn things, but it's fun. And call me a nerd, but this was a much more enjoyable way to learn things than going and watching a video or taking a lecture at school. Again, I still don't understand why they're getting rid of dinosaurs when literally they're competing with Universal, and Universal has the most successful dinosaur land. And understandably, I'm sure when they were building Animal Kingdom, that was a factor of why they put dinosaurs in, because Jurassic Park was huge at a time. And within the 90s, dinosaurs were huge. I remember seeing dinosaurs everywhere, and I remember going to the mall and going into like a dinosaur store that were giant animatronics that were traveling around the malls that you could get a picture with. I have a picture with some dinosaurs. So I feel like, isn't that what a lot of kids like still? Don't kids like dinosaurs? I like dinosaurs. I am so disappointed by that. I'm so forever disappointed. This is like the Great Movie Ride all over again. I'm still so destroyed by the Great Movie Ride because that changed the entire trajectory of Hollywood Studios and the mission statement the Hollywood Studios was, and now we're changing Animal Kingdom. Is Animal Kingdom not about animals anymore? Because Indiana Jones is not animals.
I can happily say that when they shared this on Instagram, there were over thousands of comments, and most people are also angered and disappointed by this choice, so I'm very happy to know that I'm not the only one who feels this way.
I also love in my notes that as I was trying to write about it, I just said, and they ruined Dino Land. So disappointed. So many people didn't want this. Keep the dinosaurs in Animal Kingdom. We're also getting the Tropical Americanas, which as a concept for Tropical Americanas would be really nice. Like, I would love the audition of South America and the Tropical Americanas on its own, not replacing, but as an addition. And I think it would have been welcomed a lot better if it was just an addition and not taking over another land. Because I like the idea of the rainforest, and it would have been really cool to have a rainforest ride that was original and not tied to Encanto. We're also getting a carousel that is totally going in place of Triceratops Spin. So the one thing they did say was that it'll be really nice to see at nighttime with all the lights, But is this park actually going to open at night again? Because it was going to open at night when Pandora opened, and then the pandemic happened, and now it closes early again, and you can't even enjoy Animal Kingdom at night anymore. So I don't know if that's even going to be a promise, or if that's just going to be something they say and then it's going to be closing too early for you to enjoy unless you go there in December.
I also feel like the carousel idea would work wonderfully over in the Discovery Island area somewhere.
I feel like it would have been so much better to have put Encanto in Epcot and create a new country pavilion, because we haven't gotten any new country pavilions in literally decades, and they told us many times before that new countries are going to come in, and instead they built space for the pavilions to add more countries in there, and we haven't gotten any. And I understand that it's a little bit more of a tied agreement because they're trying to work with the specific countries to sponsor it, but at this point the money that you're wasting on this you could have just built your own Colombia pavilion and made a deal with Colombia for tourism efforts and put Encanto in there, and it would be a win-win celebration for everyone. The other thing that they did mention is a blue sky concept that is coming out to be true is Zootopia is taking over It's Tough to Be a Bug. And I've talked about this too in the past. I love Zootopia so much. I adore Zootopia, and I'm very, very excited for what they're going to do with Zootopia. But again, look at what they did in Shanghai.
When guests step foot into Zootopia, they'll feel completely immersed as the city comes to life all around them. From lemmings heading to work on the Zootopia Transit Authority to Gazelle's backup dancers celebrating Zootopia Day, we're using our best technical know-how to create one of the most innovative and alive experiences that we've ever created.
Why can't we get that instead of it taking away It's Tough to Be a Bug? I don't even like It's Tough to Be a Bug because I hate bugs, but I also understand how important they are as animals in the animal kingdom. It's so disappointing that they are taking away two essential animal groups for IP. That's the bigger message that this all comes down to. Like, I'm not some crying, whiny Disney adult upset that they're taking away a land. I'm upset that they're taking away critical ideas that the park was built upon, and the message that they started out with, and the direction that they're changing. They're erasing so much history. Epcot did not get any news, except for the update that the re-inspired test track is coming along, which I'm honestly really excited for, and that we're getting a lounge inspired by Spaceship Earth. That's it. That's all we got for Epcot. We actually want more stuff for Epcot because the Epcot Reimagined area has been such a disappointment to many people. I haven't gotten to see it myself yet, but I've heard all the news for it and seen all the videos about it. So I'm kind of concerned to go towards it because they completely gutted Future World. And there wasn't too much we lost because they just changed the landscape and we lost the fountain. Okay, that's not a huge major ride or anything, so it's not a sad news. But again, people want a change for Epcot. People want to change Figment, for example. Nothing for Figment. Nothing to change Figment to be back to the original ride, but better. Nope, no countries. Nothing. They could have did so much with Epcot. Nothing. We're getting a lounge. We were supposed to get a updated version of Spaceship Earth, but we didn't even get that. We get a lounge. I don't mean to complain. I really don't mean to complain, but Epcot's my park, and maybe it's better that they didn't touch anything. Maybe it is. But it would be still nice to have some new exciting projects to look forward to. Within Hollywood Studios, they did announce that we're getting a Monsters, Inc. land. And the idea of a door roller coaster is fantastic and phenomenal and something that would be really, really fun and exciting to look towards. However, I'm concerned of where they're putting it because I've heard rumors that it's going to be replacing Muppets. And if that's the case, I don't want it. I want my Muppets. I love my Muppets, and I feel like the Muppets are so underutilized and they should instead expand on the Muppets. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but also a little concerned because we don't know any details yet. And personally, again, this is my wish list, but if I were in charge, it would have been so much better to have a whole Pixar Palace land instead, or a Pixar Place land. compared to doing Toy Story Land and then Monsters Inc. Land. Like, the park is so mishmashed as well. And with Hollywood Studios, I understand the concept is you're in the movies now and we have a whole bunch of Star Wars, but hear me out. What would have worked so much better is them doing, hey, we have a Star Wars area, okay? And then we have a Muppets area, all right? Pixar area where you could incorporate a Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Incredibles, like all those, like Disney California Adventure. They have a Pixar land where it's all a Pixar areas. That would have been so much better. It would have been more cohesive, and it would have still had a spotlight on the characters for Hollywood, but it wouldn't be all scattered around. I don't know what they're going to do with it yet. We don't know. They just announced it, but I wish that was the route they took instead. It would have worked so much nicer. They're also adding the Mandalorian to Millennium Falcon. It's just an additional video, so like not anything crazy. And they also did updates too for Disneyland for Avengers Campus. I forgot to talk about that too. So that's promising because I still haven't gotten to see it yet, but I love Avengers. I love Marvel. So that's something good. That's something good to look forward to, even though it's not on my coast. And I wish we could get Marvel, but I understand that it's tied up with Universal. The other thing that they're announcing with Magic Kingdom is new Cars Lands attractions in Frontierland. I don't know how that's gonna work, especially because Frontierland is set in the past. Once again, a mismatch of theming, but there's no details about it. I understand Cars is a really, really huge franchise, so for it being a Magic Kingdom, it makes sense. I just don't know what it's going to be yet, so we'll get more details later on, I'm sure. They also announced a bunch of cruise ships. Who cares? We don't need that many. It's killing the planet, this many cruise ships, but apparently Josh was so excited about it. Stupid. It was so stupid. It was such a waste of time to announce that for cruise ships. And he was so gung-ho about it too. Why? It was also really weird with the panel because they had a whole spotlight on Fortnite and spent so much time talking about all these different Fortnite skins and these new Disney characters coming to Fortnite. Why is this at a parks panel? Why was this taking up time at a parks panel? Understandable, it's a Disney Experiences panel, but if it's a video game, why wasn't it at the entertainment panel? Like, it should have fit in there instead. So I don't know what was going on with that, but it was really weird.
After finding a video of this section alone for reference, Disney spent 15 minutes on this stupid Fortnite section. Why?
We got to the best for last, apparently, and that's a Villains Land for Magic Kingdom, which of course I am very excited for because I love the villains too. But my cynical heart also feels like they're only doing this because of Epic Universe and because Epic Universe is doing the Dark Universe Universal Monsters, which I am so ecstatic for, and it looks fantastic and amazing, and I have no notes but positivity for what they're doing in Epic Universe. But you have to look at it critically and see that, hey, they're probably only doing this because people did want this, sure, but they're only probably doing it to try to keep people in the parks because everyone's gonna go to Epic Universe. It is a welcome addition to Magic Kingdom, but because we don't know where anything is going yet, it's so hard to get excited for. Like I said, very cautiousness about what's coming up. I had low expectations. There are some good things coming, but there's more bad things we're losing. And so it's kind of a catch-22 because I'm just so concerned with the direction that these parks continue to go into. And it brings the question where, am I just aging out and getting old? Am I not supposed to enjoy these parks anymore? Or is it just really a lack of direction? Because we saw how phenomenal these parks used to be, and I think that's what's so hard because they had such a high standard and they were doing things so well and making all these new amazing rides and attractions and had these wonderful shows, and now they're a shell of themselves and there's no creativity. Everything is bankrupt. It's just another reboot or a remake or a sequel. It concerns me for the world of entertainment in the future. And I understand. this isn't serious. I know it's just something fun, but this is what I want to be able to do as a career. And I want to continue to make amazing stories and films. So for me, this is a lot more serious, because even though I'm not desiring to work as an Imagineer at the Disney parks, I don't have the skills for it. Creativity wise, I would. And there's so many things that we wish they would do that they're not doing. And instead, they're getting rid of things that are truly treasured and loved and enjoyed. We'll see how things continue to go in the future, because who knows if things are going to get canceled, because that's also been a track record for Disney as well. But they said ground is breaking, so they had all these promises that they're going to come within the next couple of years. They have a lot to go against with Universal. Like, Epic Universe is something everyone is looking forward to. I'm so ecstatic to be able to see it. I'm so ecstatic of what they're doing, and they're gonna knock Disney out of the park. And again, I love Disney so much. I loved them in the 20th century and I love them in the early 21st century, but it's just been downhill. And I really truly feel like Disney was peak within the 90s and early 2000s, and I wish I would have been able to appreciate it more back then. I was a kid, so I was within the demographic, but you look back and you realize you didn't know how good you had it. And of course I didn't get to go often because I wasn't nearby. As always, let me know what you think, if you actually like these ideas or if you're also in agreement and you feel like they're not doing a great job. I just really do want to see them succeed, but I just feel like the way they're doing it, and I read all the comments too that everyone is saying after they're posting about these announcements, and a lot of people are also saying the same things. Like, a lot of people are concerned about where they're going to put a lot of these places. There's a lot of space. They've always said they bought Walt Disney World to be able to expand upon everything. So why are we not just expanding, and why are we replacing everything? That's my question. But until then, thank you once again for joining me. Thank you for listening to my soapbox rants. And as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.